Chuck. Here's what we're here to focus on today. We've been going through a 30 days of leadership, and one of the things that I bring to all of my clients and everybody that I get a chance to work with, that leaders have to be able to stay consistent. And one of the most important ways you can stay consistent is by focusing on self leadership and time management, being disciplined. See, when we talk about setting goals, we're talking about working hard. All of those things are results of appropriate time management. So you don't have to put in 60 hours a week. What you need to do is be at your best self when you're needed the most. So let's talk about how we do that, okay? There's three different things that I like to bring up to people. Number one is understanding priorities. What comes first and what's important, okay? So when you look at the tasks, the meetings, the conversations, the relationships, everything that goes on during your day, okay? You've got to do the best you can to forecast what is coming in your day. So at the end of each day, before the next day starts, I'll sit down and write out what's coming tomorrow. What are the tasks? What are the meetings? What are the ideas? What needs to be accomplished? And then I rank them into 4 boxes. Okay. Box number 1 is where I want to live. These are things that are important and they're urgent, meaning I'm going to get return, I'm needed, and they have a timing attached to them. Box number 1 is both important and urgent. This is where I want to spend 80% of my time. Now I go to box number 2. Okay. It's very important, but it isn't urgent. I have time, but it's important. I want to be thinking about it. I want to be planning. I want to be executing. That's where I go to next. I get the number 1s scheduled first when I know I'm going to be at my best. Now I go to the number 2s and fill in my time around those. Box number 3 means it's urgent because what has to happen now, but it isn't necessarily important. I want to look at box 3 and spend as little time as possible. This is where we want to start to delegate as much as we can. Okay, so box 1's all me. Box 2 is me. I'm going to try to get some help to come in. Okay, box 3, I want to spend very little time, but I want to start to delegate to other people. It's urgent, so it's got to happen now. But it isn't all that important. It doesn't require me at my absolute best. Now we're getting to box 4. Box 4 means it isn't important and it isn't urgent. This, unfortunately, is where many people spend way too much of their time, energy, and resources. They spend time on nonsense. It isn't going to accomplish anything. It isn't necessarily urgent. It just doesn't matter all that much. You know how much time most people spend right here? In Amazon and in Facebook and in running errands that you could hire someone else to do? If it doesn't require you, and it isn't important and it isn't urgent, stop doing it yourself. Get other people to do it, or even just don't do it at all. Find ways to eliminate so much of your time in box 4. So, suggestion number 1, prioritize. Write everything down. Give everything a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Spend your focus on 1, then 2, as little as you can in 3. Try to not do any 4s at all if you don't have to. So, suggestion number 1 is start to prioritize your tasks, your relationships, the things you have in front of you. Number 2, okay, if now I'm prioritizing, now I have to be consistent. Now I have to track what I'm doing, okay? So what I like to do is to make sure that every day I start my day by sitting down and reviewing my list from the previous night. What's my day? I need to set expectations, okay? Setting expectations is how I start to create consistency. What's the most important thing I need to do today? When is that going to be? How do I prepare myself to make sure that I'm at my best, I have everything ready that I need, and I can show up for what's important, fully present, okay? Look at how much time I have. Make sure I have time for personal, for spiritual, for physical, and for professional, okay? Try to have time for development. Make sure you have time for your husband, your wife, your kids. As you look at your day, block out different parts of your day so that you can stay present and you can stay efficient and you can stay energized. Okay, one of the things that I like to do is I look at that. I look at it in the morning, I go through my day, I review at night. Okay, so what I look at is most important thing, the MIT. Okay, my top of mind awareness is about MIT, most important thing. Okay, I set it at night. The next morning I review it, I go about my day. At the end of the day I review, how did I do? Did I get my most important things done? Then I cast for the next day. So I'm looking at what box do they fit in. I'm setting up my schedule. I'm creating a most important thing. Where does my focus need to be today? What's the most important thing that I need to do each and every day to not only accomplish my task, but also to get better, to be efficient and effective, to be happy, to have joy in my life, to have purpose in my life? How can I make sure that I'm not getting burnt out? All of these things fit into prioritizing and then analyzing how am I doing? Come up with a plan, set expectations. Okay, number 3. Okay, the third thing you want to do to start to have better time management. I got to learn to say no. You are not needed for every single thing that comes up in your life. Good leaders understand that I am not doing my job if I take everything off of everybody else. Good leaders educate to equip and they encourage to empower. One of the ways I can do that is by including other people into my life on a daily basis. What tasks are on my table that someone else could speak into? What are things I can hand over completely? What are spots where I can mentor others? Okay? I've got to be focusing on delegation, on empowering the people around me. Good leaders don't create followers, they create other leaders. The way we do that is by giving healthy ownership of part of the things on our plate to other people so they can learn, so they can get better, so they can contribute, so they can have ownership of their own. Okay? If you start to practice these things, you're going to find you can get a lot more done in a week with a lot less effort, much better, much more effectively. People who burn out, it's because they're bouncing too much. They're multitasking. Okay? The fourth thing comes up from there is focus. Multitasking is a lie. Nobody can do more than one thing efficiently and effectively at a time. The key is to compartmentalize so that whatever it is I'm doing, I'm fully present in that moment. If I'm spending time with my wife, I need to be engaged with my wife. If I'm talking to a client, I need to be engaged with that client. I cannot be thinking about what's next while I'm doing something. When you're in box 1 and you're living with things that are important and urgent, you need everything present, physically, mentally, spiritually. You've got to be able to focus, okay? By bringing much more intense focus into brief things, what you're going to find is that you're currently probably spending hours doing things that can be done in minutes. Because I'm bouncing around too much, I'm not focused. Because the reality of time management is, however much amount of time and energy you allot to something, it will take it. If you give something 15 minutes that's worth 15 minutes, and you focus and you go hard in those 15 minutes, most of the time you can accomplish the same amount in 15 minutes while focused that would take you an hour, unfocused, not sure, without a plan, without prioritizing. When you're present and you have a plan and you have an expectation and you focus 15, 30 minutes, maybe an hour at the most, if your tasks are taking you more than an hour, reevaluate them. Do you have good expectations for the purpose of them? Make sure they're box 1. Nothing should be taking you more than an hour that doesn't live in box 1, or at least in box 2. Don't catch yourself spending hours and hours in box 3 and box 4. Okay? So when we get to time management and goal setting, most people focus on the result more than the process. And the reality of it is, the result is the result of the process. So what I want to focus on is controlling my energy, my time, and my focus into things that matter. And then evaluating how well am I showing up in those moments so that I can impact the result. We've talked multiple times. Change isn't about completely redoing something to get a different result. It's about minor changes. It's about getting better every day. Okay? So let's actually transition a little bit now into that change management in order to improve your time management, or I like to call resource management. See, as I look to change things, the biggest problem most people deal with is procrastination. Okay? They have an idea, they have a thought, they have a belief, they want to see things change, but they don't go ahead and go. Have you ever had something you know you want to do, but you just can't make yourself do it? In scripture, where it talks about, I do the exact thing that I don't want to do, and I don't do the exact thing I want to. Why? Because we all had these struggles with getting over humps, with being efficient, with trusting ourselves to make decisions. So don't look to take massive changes all at once. What you want to do is just look at something that's important and make that change. Get used to it, and then you can make another one. Let me give you an example, okay? Almost any successful person that you talk to, almost any book that you read, almost any leadership coaching you look at, everybody talks about leaders, successful people get up early, right? They're up at 5 a.m., they're up at 6 a.m. Okay, so let's give this as an example. If you're used to getting up at 8:30 or 9, and all of a sudden you try to force yourself to get up at 5 o'clock every single morning, you're giving yourself a huge opportunity to fail because it's too big of a change. You're going to find you're tired, you're not used to it, you're grumpy, and you're not sure you want to do with yourself. Instead of going from 8:30 all the way to 5 a.m., go from 8:30 to 8. And what you're going to find is, hey, that was a little bit better. It wasn't that bad. I got reward. I made improvements. Now things are better. I'm going to go from 8 to 7:30. And then I'm going to go to 7. And before you know it, now you are getting up at 6. You're getting up at 5 because you managed your change. If we change too fast, things break. Change needs to be intentional. It needs to be thought out. It needs to be planned. If those things happen, we can execute the change. All change that you ever bring into a relationship, to yourself, to an organization, to a plan, all change must be cast through the vision of improvement. Call towards something good, not away from something negative. We are making not change, we're making improvement. When we focus on improvement in increments, things are going to get better and better and better. We're be greater than. We're improving every single day. The trick is this gives you wins. It gives you victories. When we get wins and victories, now we're motivated. Now we're proud of ourselves. Now we're confident and we can start to move forward. If I make such a big change that I'm exhausted or that I'm beat up or I'm overwhelmed, I tend to procrastinate. I tend to shrink from the challenge. Too much, too fast, you can just drown. So what you want to do is plan out where I am now, where I want to be, and incremental steps to get there so that it's manageable, so that I create victories, so that I create new disciplines, so that I start to take steps and action towards who I want to be, towards the result I want. I'm creating victories. When we create victories, we create momentum. When we create momentum, we start to change our results. So as you look to be a better leader, okay, this was a fire hose of information today, but I think it's really important to understand you need to lead you, which means you can't exactly do or copy something someone else did. You want to take ideas from everyone around you that you see that's successful and take the pieces that work for you, okay? You're never going to be exactly like someone that you look up to. You want to take their habits and their processes and customize them for yourself, okay? And as you start to look at your life, you know you need to communicate better, you know you need to lead yourself, you know you need to take your resources and make sure you're doing the best you can with what you have to work with. Some of the best ways to do that are these three things you went through. So number one, okay, prioritize. Stop spending so much energy in places that don't give you back energy, finance, relationships, love, joy, happiness, peace. If they're not giving you return, stop doing them. If you're not needed, stop doing them. If they're not important and they're not urgent, stop spending so much time. Important and urgent goes in box 1. Important, not urgent goes in box 2. These are where we live. Urgent, but not all that important goes in box 3. Now we start to delegate as much as possible. Not important, not urgent. Stop doing them. Second, evaluate yourself. Okay? Most important thing, every night, every morning, make sure you're casting an expectation for your day so you know where you're heading. Okay? Make sure that you're looking at these things in a way that's manageable for you. Okay? Take these programs, take these ideas, customize them for what works for you, and make small incremental changes every day. I really appreciate your time today. I hope you have found something in what I've been talking about that you can take for you, customize for your life, and you can start to become a better leader every day. Go out, serve power under, be greater than, and live on purpose. I'll see you soon.